I had the perfect opportunity to buy a VR headset, until they went forever extinct. Every time I look back at my birthday wish list, I always get the urge to sprint over to my nearest power and rip the damn VR headset machine off the shelf and go back home to enjoy my virtual reality. But every time I get the idea, the absolutely threatening price tag of every VR game comes back to haunt me. And they just announced Hellsinger VR. I'm emptying my bank account for this. So now that I actually own a VR headset and have tested that I didn't get scammed, I'll one day have my revenge power. I thought that I should talk about the old, new, good and bad VR games, and the first game is called Job Simulator, where you really get to live like a 50-plus-year-old violent, sick, childish human that just wants to have a great experience but is constantly put in his place by the slow and predetermined gameplay loop that never changes. Unless you play the cartridges, but believe me, you'll regret it. So the first playthrough of the game is great. Every other playthrough is practically meaningless in my opinion. But if you want to play the same very fun gameplay loop over and over again, then be my guest. But I will say that some of the funniest gaming moments I have experienced have happened while playing this game. So it's great and funny, but not very replayable. So if I can't be an employee of the month, then I guess I just have to switch to another job. But there's so many to choose from. And then I found this relaxing game called Across the Valley, where you grow your own crops, and I'm just kidding. I found this racquetball meets breakout racket game called Racket that for some reason is capable of making me sweat even more than playing Beat Saber, and I love it. You as the player have to use all of your senses in order to smack the ball back into the wall, only for the wall to smack it right back. This game just expels energy and upbeat spirits, so you are bound to have some fun playing it if you like racquetball. But if you don't, then Beat Saber, boxing, Ring Fit, Spider-Man, etc. are also viable choices. But even after discussing these great titles, there's just something missing. Because if I'm not looking for an old or new VR game, then maybe I just need to look deeper for something. And so I did, and my long search for great VR games instead ended up with me finding the game TORS, which is going to have to be the bad game of this video, but not because I directly dislike it, but because it's not fun alone. Okay, so TORS is a game about getting from one side to the other side of the level, and you do this by using parkour. But the problem is you might as well just try and find a Spider-Man VR game to play instead, because this game gets old rather quick. And the problem lies in the gameplay that is best compared to Gorilla Tag if it was a parkour racing game. But with friends it can be a pretty good time, but other than that, not really. And finally we have arrived at the end. There isn't much more to talk about when it comes to why you should buy VR for gaming, because all of the games that I've talked about in this video should be more than enough proof that the VR headset can give you some of the greatest gaming experiences that exist. But the thing about being a VR fan and a horror game connoisseur means that you will at some point stumble upon the game Resident Evil 7 VR. And this shit is terrifying. Resident Evil 7 VR is a game that in my opinion provides some of the scariest interactions that I have ever witnessed in a horror game, simply because of the level of immersion that a VR experience can provide. This was also my first time ever playing Resident Evil 7, so I was at every moment, at every corner, fearing for my life, because I had, at the time, never seen a full playthrough of the original game. So throughout my 6-hour adventure as Ethan Winters, I not only got the most horrific, dark and at some point sad VR gaming experience, but also the greatest, most beautiful and immersive VR experience. Everything in this game was perfect in my opinion. The atmosphere, the movement, the chase sequences and even the weapon aiming, despite it being tied to a set position on the screen. Everything was just amazing, and I can 100% recommend this game along with all of the other games I've talked about. Because at the end of the day, we just want to play something. Basically what I'm trying to say is, play what you want and don't listen to me, because this is all my opinion. So if you enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like, a subscribe and a comment down below. And until we meet again, bye bye.